I knew something was wrong the moment I pulled into the driveway. The house looked still, too still, except for the faint, flickering glow coming from the backyard. Orange, rhythmic, alive. At first I thought it was someone else's porch light, but then I smelled it. Burning fabric. Smoke. Not the acrid stench of garbage, but something more expensive, synthetic, familiar. I dropped my purse on the kitchen floor and rushed out the back door, heart pounding, heels clicking against concrete. And that's when I saw her. My sister Lila, standing beside a flaming trash can in the middle of our patio, her phone held out at just the right angle to catch the firelight on her cheekbones. She was filming, laughing, feeding the flames one item at a time. Draped across a makeshift clothesline behind her were my dresses, my work dresses. Silk, satin, wool. They hung there like trophies, wilting in the heat. "Lila!" I screamed. My voice cracked. She turned her head, calm as moonlight, and smiled. "They're just things," she said, holding up my navy Ellie Saab dress, the one I wore to pitch our biggest pharmaceutical client last spring. "That's what you always say, right? That material things aren't important." Before I could answer, she dropped the dress into the fire. The flames hissed. The fabric curled like paper. I stood there frozen, watching years of careful saving, every late-night pitch and early morning meeting, reduced to ash. She moved to the next one, my deep red Zac Posen. My hand shot forward instinctively, but I was too far away and too late. "Lila, what are you doing?" I whispered. My voice wasn't mine anymore. It was thin, shaky. "Making a point," she said without looking at me. I scanned the yard in panic, searching for the hose. It wasn't where it should have been. I ran to the spigot and turned it. Nothing. No water. She'd removed the handle. My hand shook. "Lila, those dresses cost thousands of dollars, and I asked for $22,000, and you said no," she snapped, her voice now sharp, triumphant. "So now we're even." We weren't. Not even close. But I didn't have the words. Not yet. I just stood there, paralyzed, watching the smoke rise into the dark sky like a funeral pyre for something I hadn't realized was already dying. She picked up my Carolina Herrera blush silk gown, the one I bought secondhand but wore like it was runway couture. I had worn it the night I got promoted, my proudest moment. She dangled it over the flames. "That one," she said, almost to herself, "was always my favorite." And then she let it go. The fabric ignited like a secret. My past 3 years in corporate marketing, the late nights, the wins, the self-worth I'd built, gone. There were maybe 15 dresses in total. They weren't just clothes. They were proof that I had survived something, that I had made something of my life despite everything. And my sister was destroying them, one by one, like it was some twisted ritual. A sacrifice. But what was she sacrificing? Or maybe the better question was, what had I been sacrificing all these years? That's when I realized this didn't begin tonight. The flames might have started now, but the fire had been building for years. And I had fed it too. I didn't know it yet. But this wasn't just about dresses or money. This was about love, the kind that turns into obligation, and then resentment, and then finally, something dangerous. So if you're wondering how a sister could burn every symbol of her sibling's success and still feel justified, you need to hear what came before the fire. Because maybe the worst betrayals aren't sudden. Maybe they burn slow. 10 years earlier, on a rainy Sunday evening, I got the phone call that changed everything. Our parents were driving home from their anniversary dinner when a drunk driver ran a red light. The police said they died instantly. I was 18, in the middle of my first semester at university, still figuring out how to do laundry and balance student loans. Lila was only 10, at home with a babysitter, watching cartoons and waiting for Mom to bring her a slice of tiramisu. We were 2 girls, suddenly orphaned. There was life insurance, but not enough. Our parents' mortgage ate most of it, and what was left barely covered funeral expenses. The logical solution was to send Lila to live with our Aunt Teresa in Colorado, our father's older sister. She offered, even encouraged it, said she had the space and stability. But when I looked at Lila, small, silent, clinging to me in the church pew at the funeral, I couldn't do it. I was all she had left, and she was all I had. I made a decision that night. I told the state I would become her legal guardian. I dropped to part-time at university and picked up 2 jobs, waitressing during the day and bartending at night. I studied when I could, usually between 3 and 5 a.m., and napped in 30-minute bursts before getting Lila ready for school. It was chaos and grief and exhaustion layered over each other like sediment, but somehow we made it work. Lila was a sweet kid. She left notes in my textbooks that said, "You're my hero," and "Thanks for pancakes," and "I love you more than ice cream." I would find them crumpled between pages on the train to class, and they were the only reason I didn't drop out. We didn't have much, but I protected our little world fiercely. On birthdays, I baked from scratch. On Christmas, I strung popcorn garlands and made sure Lila had at least one wrapped gift to open. When she cried at night, missing Mom, I told her it was okay to miss and love someone at the same time. I meant it. It took me 6 years to finish a 4-year degree. But I walked across that graduation stage with my sister in the front row holding a handmade sign that read, "My sister rocks." She was beaming. That moment, it felt like everything I gave up had been worth it. For a while, it was good. I landed a job as a marketing assistant at a regional firm in Minneapolis. It wasn't glamorous, but it was stable. After 2 years, I was promoted. My salary tripled. I bought a small 2-bedroom townhouse in a safe neighborhood with good schools. Lila had her own room, her own space. I painted the walls pale blue because she said it felt like the sky. I thought I'd given her something solid. When she turned 16, I helped her get a used Honda Civic and taught her how to parallel park. I still remember how proud she looked. I thought we were close. I thought she understood what I had given up. But something started shifting around that time. Her friends had families with more money, bigger houses, summer homes. Lila began comparing. She stopped inviting people over, started asking why we couldn't just be normal. Normal meant luxury handbags and brand-name sneakers and weekend trips to Aspen. I tried to keep up where I could. I clipped coupons. I bought secondhand when possible. But she noticed. She always noticed. And no matter what I did, it was never enough. I thought maybe when she got into college, things would settle. She was smart, always had been. Got accepted into North Ridge University, a prestigious private school. She told everyone she had a scholarship. What she didn't know was that I'd taken on an extra freelance contract just to cover the rest. Her tuition, housing, meal plan, monthly allowance, all routed discreetly from my account to the university. I wanted her to have the college experience I never got. I told myself I'd tell her someday, when she graduated, when she matured, when she was ready to understand the weight of what it cost. But I kept pushing that day further and further away. And by then it was already too late. Lila's freshman year started with excitement. She posted photos of her dorm room, decorated in soft pastels and fairy lights, with captions like "New Chapter" and "Grateful for everything." I remember smiling at those first few posts, feeling quietly proud. It was working, I thought. She was getting the life I fought so hard to give her. But the tone shifted quickly. By October, her social media became a curated fantasy. There she was, sipping lattes at rooftop cafes, dressed in brands I couldn't afford on my own salary. She tagged boutiques I didn't recognize, geolocated herself at private clubs, and started referring to our townhouse as a family summer home, a place we'd never owned. Her birthday post that year read, "Thanks, Daddy, for the MacBook," even though it had taken me 3 months of side projects and skipped dinners to save up for it. I didn't say anything at first. I told myself it was harmless. Social media exaggeration. Everyone did it. But a part of me felt uneasy, like I was watching her drift towards something I couldn't follow. The next time she came home, winter break, she brought 3 massive suitcases. One was just shoes. I noticed a pair of Gucci loafers and a Prada crossbody bag, still with tags. Lila, I asked carefully, how can you afford all this? She shrugged. My friend Lexa's dad owns a boutique. I get everything it cost. It didn't add up, but I was working 60-hour weeks by then, trying to secure a new client that would help cover her rising tuition. Northridge had just increased their fees by 10%, and I was scrambling to make ends meet without showing it. So I let the comment slide. Then she started bringing friends home. Girls from wealthy families who treated our home like a quirky Airbnb. I overheard one of them ask, "Wait, is this your childhood house or just like where you live now?" Lila laughed awkwardly, then mumbled something about us downsizing. They rifled through our kitchen cabinets, complained about the tap water, and left their designer coats draped across my dining chairs like they owned the place. But nothing compared to the moment I came home early one day and found them in my closet. Madison, one of the louder girls, was twirling in my Carolina Herrera silk wrap dress, giggling. Another posed in front of the mirror wearing my Max Mara black crepe blazer. My heart sank. "These are my sister's work clothes," Lila said offhandedly. "Most of it's outlet stuff, but she's got a few real pieces in here." They laughed. "Lila," I said from the doorway, my voice razor thin, "put everything back. Now." The girls froze. One of them muttered, "Sorry," as they scrambled to return the clothes, but Lila rolled her eyes. "We were just having fun. Chill. Those dresses aren't toys. They're mine. They're how I earn the money that pays for this house, your tuition, and a lot more than you realize." She snorted. "It's not like they're real designer. Madison's mom shops in Paris." The sting of that sentence took me a moment to absorb. "That's not the point," I said quietly. "You don't get to treat my things like props in your performance. You don't get to erase where we came from just because you want to impress your friends." "Well, maybe if you hadn't insisted on being my guardian," she snapped. I could have lived with Aunt Teresa and had a normal life. Her husband's a doctor. They have a pool. You stole that from me. That was the first time she said it out loud. That she blamed me for loving her too much to let her go. I wanted to scream, but I didn't. I just stood there, breath caught in my throat, realizing that for all my sacrifice, all my effort somewhere along the way, I'd lost her anyway. And still, I didn't stop. I didn't cut her off. I kept making tuition payments. I kept giving her $600 a month, quietly, without question, because I still believed she would come back to herself. I didn't know it yet, but the next time she asked me for money would be the last time. It was a Tuesday afternoon when it happened. One of those crisp spring days where the light feels just a little too sharp, like the world is trying to show you something you're not ready to see. I was in the middle of a Zoom pitch, presenting to a prospective client whose contract could bring in over $1 million. Everything was going smoothly until the office door creaked open without warning. Lila barged in. I gave her the universal "not now" hand signal, keeping my eyes on the screen while my voice remained calm. "And with that projected ROI, we believe your Q4 could outperform expectations." Lila stood just off camera, arms crossed, sighing loudly, glancing at her watch as if I was wasting her time. I wrapped the call as fast as I could and muted my mic. The moment the screen went dark, she jumped in. "I need $22,000 by Friday." I blinked. "Excuse me." 22 grand, she repeated, casually, as if she were asking for a ride. "I need to confirm my spot for the Spring Gala in Napa Valley. It's a picnic/networking weekend. All the big media names will be there." I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. "You're joking." She looked offended. "No. Why would I joke about this? It's important for my future." She opened her phone and pulled up a glossy invitation. White linen background, gold foil lettering. There were photos of sprawling vineyards, white tents, chandeliers strung between trees. "Look," she said, "the basic package is $5 grand. But I'm going VIP, it's 15,000. That includes the cabana, the chef menu, the press photographer, and the gift bags. And the other 7,000. Travel and wardrobe. Obviously, I need to helicopter in. Madison's dad already booked hers, and I can't show up in Zara. I was thinking Versace or maybe Stella McCartney. I just sat there, stunned. Lila, I don't have $22,000 lying around. Yes, you do, she said flatly. I know you have investments. You've been budgeting like a maniac for years. Sell something. Take a loan. It's not like you need 20 designer dresses to sit in Zoom meetings. My stomach turned. She had been calculating this, watching me, assessing, waiting for a moment to extract. Even if I had the money, I said slowly, I wouldn't give it to you for this. It's not just a party, she snapped. It's an opportunity. The Richardsons will be there. Taylor's dad is introducing me. Do you know what that could mean for me? Yes, I said. It means that you've confused status with substance. She narrowed her eyes. You've never supported my dreams. That's not true, I said, my voice suddenly shaking. I've spent the last decade building a life so you could have dreams. I gave up mine. I worked through nights, holidays, birthdays. I've paid your tuition, your rent, your food, your monthly allowance. She froze. I saw it register, but only for a second. You did that because you wanted to. Don't act like it was some noble sacrifice. I laughed, but there was no humor left in me. You think this is about nobility? No, it's about boundaries, and for the first time I'm setting one. So you're saying no. I'm saying absolutely not. There was a silence between us, a heavy, irreversible silence. You're going to regret this, she whispered, but I already did. 2 days later, I came home late from a client dinner. It was nearly midnight. My feet ached, my head was spinning with numbers and talking points, but the meeting had gone well. I felt proud, like maybe I was finally catching up to the life I'd postponed for so long. Then I smelled smoke. At first, I thought it was a neighbor's barbecue, but as I turned the corner to the backyard, my stomach dropped. There was an unnatural orange glow flickering across the brick patio. I rushed through the side gate, and there she was. Lila stood in front of a trash can fire, her phone lifted at just the right angle. Around her, flames danced high, too high. From a clothesline strung between 2 poles hung my dresses. Not just any dresses. My Ellie Saab, the Zac Posen, the blush Carolina Herrera. They swayed gently, as if waiting their turn. I froze. What are you doing? I choked out. She didn't flinch. Her eyes glittered with something unrecognizable. Making a point, she said, and let go of a cream ream acre sheath. The dress ignited instantly, folding in on itself as the fire devoured it. I lunged for the hose. The spigot had no handle. She'd planned this. Lila, I whispered, these dresses, they cost thousands, and you said I couldn't have 22, she snapped. So I figured I'd burn 20. Fair trade, right? Her logic was so warped, I couldn't even argue. I looked around for anything to douse the fire, a bucket, a blanket, but all I saw was smoke and ash in her face, lit by the blaze. I tried to grab the next dress, but it was already melting. Stop filming. Stop this. You're destroying everything. She backed away, camera still rolling. Don't touch me. I'm documenting this, so people can see the real you. I turned to her fully then, my voice shaking. The real me? The one who raised you since I was 18? The one who paid your tuition, fed you, housed you, gave you a life you now burn for content. Her lip curled. You always held it over me. Every meal, every dime. You made sure I knew I was a burden. I never said that, I whispered. You didn't have to, she spat. You acted like you were some hero. But all you ever did was make me feel small, dependent, like I owed you something for existing. My mouth opened, but nothing came out, because the truth was I had given everything, and I never once thought she'd see it as a chain. The fire crackled between us. 15 dresses lay ruined or destroyed. Some collapsed into ash, others blackened and shriveled like ghosts of who I used to be. I stepped back, suddenly cold despite the heat. "You need to leave," I said quietly. She blinked. "What?" "You need to pack your things and leave this house. Tonight." "You're kicking me out." Her voice cracked. "You can't. I have nowhere to go." "That's not my problem anymore." "You don't mean that," she said, almost pleading now. "I do," I said. "You are an adult who just committed arson, who filmed it for fun. I could call the police. Instead, I'm giving you 1 hour to leave." She laughed shaky. "You're bluffing. You won't actually kick me out. You're too obsessed with playing the perfect sister." I looked her dead in the eye. "Try me." Something in my tone must have landed. She stepped back. "Fine," she said. "This place is a dump anyway. I'll go stay with Madison." "Good." I turned toward the house, but then I paused. Without looking back, I added, "Oh, and Lila? I've been paying your tuition. All of it. Your housing, your meal plan, your monthly allowance. Every dollar." There was a long silence behind me. "So you'll want to make other arrangements for next semester." When I closed the door behind me, I slid to the kitchen floor and stayed there. Everything smelled like smoke. My hands shook. Upstairs, drawers slammed. Then, finally, the front door clicked. Silence. And for the first time in 10 years, I didn't get up to check if she'd locked it. I didn't sleep that night. Not really. I stayed curled up on the cold tile floor of the guest bathroom, wrapped in one of the old towels Lila never used. The house felt hollow. Not quiet hollow, like it had been emptied of something invisible but vital. The scent of burned silk clung to the air, stubborn and sour. I kept thinking, this is what grief smells like when it doesn't come with flowers. My phone buzzed every few minutes. Text after text from Lila. First furious, "You're dead to me." Then panicked, "Please answer. I have nowhere to go." Then manipulative, "If you ever loved me, you'll call me back." By morning, there were 27 missed calls and 43 texts. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I made coffee. Then I walked into my office, opened my laptop, and logged into the Northridge University payment portal. Her next tuition installment, $11,789, was due in 2 weeks. With one click, I canceled the scheduled transfer. Then I picked up the phone and called the university's financial aid office. "This is Isabel Hartman," I said. "I have been covering expenses for a student, Lila Hartman, for the past 3 years. Effective immediately, I will no longer be financially responsible for her education." The woman on the line paused. "I'll make a note in her file," she said gently. "She'll need to make alternative arrangements before the deadline." "When's the deadline?" "July 15th. 3 months. Enough time for Lila to face the reality she'd been hiding from, but not so long that she could pretend it wasn't coming. After I hung up, I called Maya. I didn't even say hello. Just, "Can I stay with you for a few days? I can't be here right now." "I'm already making up the guest room," she said. "Pack a bag. I'll come get you." Before leaving, I gathered every tuition receipt, meal plan invoice, and allowance transfer from the past 3 years. Nearly $120,000 in total. I printed them out, slid them into a manila envelope, and left it on the kitchen counter. On top, I placed a single note. "This is what I've been doing with my money instead of buying vacations or a bigger house. Your education was my priority. Now it needs to be yours." I didn't leave a key. I didn't leave a forwarding address. I just locked the door and walked out. At Maya's apartment, I collapsed on her couch with a mug of tea I never drank. She sat next to me while I told her everything, not just about the fire, but the years leading up to it, the passive-aggressive comments, the lies, the guilt I carried like a second spine. "I feel like I failed her," I whispered, "like all those sacrifices meant nothing." "You didn't fail her," Maya said gently. "You just kept giving. even when it stopped being love and started being obligation. That's not failure. That's conditioning. I started therapy that week. My therapist, Dr. Alvarez, was sharp, warm, and unflinchingly honest. She listened to my story and then asked a question that pierced deeper than anything Lila had ever said. Do you believe someone can love too much? I nodded before I understood what she meant. You were in a codependent relationship, she explained. You overfunctioned, so she didn't have to. She underfunctioned because she knew you always would. That's not parenting. That's emotional enmeshment. The words stung, but they rang true. Over the next few sessions, we unpacked everything. My need to fix, to save, to prove I hadn't ruined her life by keeping her with me, and her need to test how far I'd bend before breaking. It wasn't abuse. It wasn't evil, but it was dysfunctional. And now, finally, it was ending. Meanwhile, Lila was learning her own lessons. I knew because Aunt Teresa called me a few days later. She reached out, she said, wanted to know if she could stay here until things settled down. I told her yes, but with conditions: rent, chores, and no drama. And she said she'd think about it. She sounded tired. So was I. But for the first time, I was also free. It took Lila 3 weeks to text me again. The message was short, without punctuation or decoration. Moving to Colorado. Aunt Teresa is helping me find a job. I don't expect you to care, but thought you should know. I stared at it for a long time. Not because I was angry, though I was, but because I wasn't sure what the right response looked like anymore. I didn't want to punish her, but I couldn't reward her either. So I sent 5 words. I wish you the best. That was it. No apology required. No apology offered. Just a crack in the silence, wide enough to breathe through. A week later, Teresa called. She's here, she said simply. Got a job at a coffee shop and part-time at a boutique. I'm charging her rent, making her do dishes. She hates it, but she's showing up. I didn't cry, but something inside me shifted, like the part of me that had been clenched for 10 years finally exhaled. With Lila gone, I started clearing the debris, literal and emotional. I sold the townhouse. I moved into a small condo on the other side of the city. No stairs, no memories, no singed bricks in the backyard. The few dresses that survived the fire were given away. I couldn't wear them anymore without remembering the smoke, the laughter, the betrayal. I bought new clothes, just a few pieces. Simple, elegant, chosen only for me. Work was better than ever. My boss called me into his office one afternoon, handed me a promotion letter, and said, "You've shown incredible grace under pressure. Whatever's going on at home, keep doing what you're doing." I laughed, genuinely, because for the first time there wasn't anything going on at home except peace. Then, one afternoon in October, I received something unexpected in the mail. A letter, real paper, Colorado postmark. The handwriting was Lila's. "Dear Isabel, I'm working 50 hours a week and paying my own rent. Aunt Teresa doesn't coddle me. It sucks, but maybe I need it. I saw the documents you left. I didn't know about the tuition or how much you gave up. I told people you were controlling, selfish, bitter. I told them you made me feel like a burden. But the truth is, I never gave you a chance to be anything else. I'm sorry for burning your dresses. I'm sorry for the things I said. I don't expect forgiveness, but I wanted you to know I'm trying. I want to be better, not just for you, for me. Love, Lila." I folded the letter and put it in a drawer, not because I wanted to forget it, but because I wasn't ready to answer it. Instead, I brought it to therapy. Dr. Alvarez read it twice, then asked, "What would forgiveness look like for you?" "Not forgetting," I said. "Not pretending it didn't happen. But maybe building something new. From scratch. On equal footing." I nodded. As sisters, not as savior and rescued. The next week I wrote back, "Dear Lila, thank you for your letter. It meant more than I expected it to. I'm not ready to go back to how things were, and maybe that's a good thing. but I am open to starting something new. A relationship between two women who know what it means to lose each other and still choose to try again. I believe in your education. I always have. So here's what I propose. For every dollar you save toward community college, I'll match it. Up to $5,000 per year. This isn't charity. It's partnership. But only if you maintain your grades. This is your life now, Lila. I'm not carrying it anymore. But I'm willing to walk beside you if you carry your share. Love, Isabel, she replied 2 days later. I've saved $1,200 already. Starting classes in January. I'll send you the receipt. Also, I got promoted to shift manager. It's not much, but it's mine. Thank you for not giving up on me completely. We've spoken every week since then. Carefully, slowly, sometimes awkward, but honest. Last month, she visited me in Minneapolis. She handed me a small box. Inside was a necklace. 2 interlocking silver circles. It's not expensive, she said, but the woman at the shop said it means being connected without being tangled. I wear it often, because sometimes from the ashes of what's broken, something stronger can begin.